Alright, ladies and gentlemen, episode 4. I apologize for the Christmas special. See, we had a little technical difficulty on my end. Hopefully we got it fixed. I had to update a couple of things. But this is the Let's Talk About It podcast. Shout out to you, the YouTube viewership. We are here, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired as hell. It's been a long week. You know, work was rough last week, having to work overtime because of, the Christmas holiday, and, I have to do it again this week because of the New Year's holiday, so, good for the paycheck, not so good for the body, but, like I said, we're here. First of all, like I do every podcast, I want to give a special shout out to some friends of mine over on Spotify, so shout out to the Inside the Park podcast. They are a couple of friends of mine, Matt and Murph. They are everything baseball that you want to hear about from a couple of young guys. That's them. They're a couple of real funny dudes. Go over there, check them out on Spotify. Also, New Year's resolutions are coming. Everyone wants to lose that, 10, 15 pounds before beach season. I get it. I don't subscribe to that feeling. I'm going to be the same weight now that I am come beach season, so it really doesn't matter to me. But if you're in the greater Harrisburg area and you're looking for a new gym, I know a lot of new gyms opened over this winter, but Signal 5 CrossFit has been a staple of the community. They're located up on Dairy Street. Signal 5 is my gym. They are friends. They are family. They are some of the best people you could possibly train with. They will absolutely help you lose that 15 to 20 or even more than that for beach season. So if you guys are looking for a new gym this spring in the greater Harrisburg area, go check out Signal 5 CrossFit. And also you can follow me on Instagram at JakeStout. I do post a lot of my workouts and a lot of other cool media stuff on Instagram, so follow me at JakeStout. It's JakeStoudt, all lowercase on Instagram. And be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, we got a good show here today for you. I'm currently without guests. A lot of my guests are either away or busy. The New Year's here. This is being recorded on the 31st, so, shit happens. But, we're going to recap 2018. I mean, it was a hell of a year. It was one of my best years out of the last couple. I mean, I finally got back to college, so that was a good thing for me on a personal note, but I hope your year was good. And I got a bunch of lists and stuff that, really, I guess mean something more to me than anything, and feel free to comment and or hit me up on Instagram if you guys feel differently about any of these. But like I said, I got a few lists of some things that I felt were really important to kind of cap off the year. But before we do that, I want to cap off this last weekend. The John Jones win in the UFC. Jones beat Gustafsson, third round TKO. I don't really know how to feel. As a John Jones fan, as a UFC fan, I love seeing John Jones, but the dude is reckless to say the least. Of course, if you haven't heard by now, the dude had failed a drug test, and I believe Joe Rogan had the UFC's anti-doping guy on his podcast, so go check that out. And it's one of those things that I love. Again, I love John Jones, I love the UFC, but anybody who's been accused of cheating and had this much BS kind of behind them is somebody that I kind of have to step away from, because I'm a purist at the end of the day. I want champions that are going to represent the right way. I'm very old school in that thinking. I'm, as much as I loved Conor McGregor and his shit talking, of course everybody has a line. For me, he kind of crossed that line a couple of times, but for the most part, Conor McGregor, a lot like John Jones, has kind of redeemed himself a little bit. But then John Jones went and failed the drug test again, and it's like, oh great, here we go again. And I understand, it was a very, very trace amount. It was barely registerable on the drug test that he took. But cheating is still cheating. You had this metabolite in his system, which is a trace of a steroid. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm happy John Jones won. Of course, the Daniel Cormier had some choice words for him after. I don't know, man. I think it's one of those things that I think the UFC needs to just bench him for a while, but I know they won't because they need to get views. While still on the UFC, same card, Amanda Nunes knocked out Chris Cyborg. Amanda Nunes now gets to carry her head high around as the baddest woman on the planet. Because, you know, Chris Cyborg, who I've jokingly said that is genetically a man, got knocked out. Flush. Multiple times. I've watched the highlights probably 15 different times on a loop. I love Amanda Nunes. I love her game. You know what I mean? I love the way that she just handles herself. And I definitely think she is the rightful champion of the women's division of the UFC. I mean, and the thing with Amanda Nunes is you can't really put her against like Rose Namajunas or Joanna Jędrzejczyk just because of the size disparity, and not necessarily just weight, but size. You know, you're going from a woman who's, I'm pretty sure she's almost my height, because I'm 5'10", 5'11". But anyway, so you're going from a much taller, heavier woman to someone who's obviously much skinnier. You know, that I think would potentially be a super fight, but Ronda's obviously not coming back, and the UFC women's division is kind of stagnant at this point. So, also, this weekend in sports, Clemson, my Tigers. Shout out to all the crying Notre Dame fans out there. 30-3 rout of Notre Dame. You know, honestly, and now that I think about it, honestly, even with Dexter Lawrence out and, you know, a steady rotation at D-line, which Clemson has had all year for anyone who's not a Clemson fan, we still played pretty well. I'm not going to be mad at it. Justin Ross went off. Trevor Lawrence is a problem. Dude's going to be a #1 pick in 2 years. It's just, it was wild to watch. Because, I mean, I had, you know, in this area, like I said, the greater Harrisburg area, there's a lot of Notre Dame fans. So it's like, okay, cool, yeah, you guys are 13-0, but you didn't play anybody. Come on now. Let's be honest. If you don't play anybody and you're not tested, how do you know how good you really are? Okay, cool, you beat Michigan. Ohio State smoked Michigan. No one cares. Alright? Like, come on now, let's be better than this. Bama also held on to survive. Kyler Murray to the NFL. I've heard so many people talking about it. The kid has a $9 million signing bonus waiting for him in baseball. He's not going to the league. As much as I think he could potentially be really good in the league, he's not going to the league. Sorry. Kid can play baseball. Who cares? Why would you turn down that much guaranteed money? You wouldn't. Exactly. So, and then, of course, NFL action yesterday. Steelers were eliminated from the playoffs. The Browns almost won. The playoffs are set. My Super Bowl picks right now, it's a 3-team race. I know there's only 2 teams that obviously play in the Super Bowl. But Rams, Saints, and yeah, Rams, Saints, and Chiefs. As much as I love the Patriots are having, their offensive line is a little bit leaky right now. Tom Brady don't like getting hit. Not looking good right now in Patriot land, but then again, you know, the Patriot land, the Patriots are up in, you know, Boston. They're you know, evil layer up there. They're plotting on something. So something's gonna go down. I do think the Chiefs come out of the East, or the East. I think the Chiefs come out of the AFC. The NFC is clearly the superior division. The NFC is going to be a damn bloodbath, but I think the Rams have enough talent to get by, as well as the Saints. It'll be interesting to see. I think Houston can potentially be a problem. I think there's a lot of factors, but I'm fairly certain it's going to be one of the 3 teams that I mentioned: Chiefs, Rams, Saints. Whatever it'll be, the Super Bowl will more than likely this year be a shootout. So, hey, it is what it is. So, here we go. Recapping the year of 2018, just some the top 5 news stories and things that kind of struck me and were, you know, superly talked about this year. For me, the #1 is the Kavanaugh case. So many things going on there, so many political views, and of course this is a variety show, so we kind of have to talk about it. Me personally, I may sit back and watch any kind of domestic violence case or domestic abuse, sexual assault, sexual misconduct. I'm the sit back and watch guy. So after doing some reviewing myself and with some friends of mine, apparently the woman in question who Judge Kavanaugh supposedly had the sexual misconduct with, her dad is in bed with big pharmaceuticals, and of course Kavanaugh is against it. So, you know, seemed a little peculiar, but you know what, I'll let it slide. For me, you know, after the case, I didn't really get a lot out of it. There was still a lot more questions than answers. And I'm going to leave that there. But one thing I will say, unpopular opinion, I feel like if a woman accuses a man of sexual assault and gets him convicted, and I know you will hear stories about this all the time. Well, not all the time, but you can find them. If a woman gets a man convicted of some sort of sexual assault, misconduct, rape, whatever, and then it comes out later that he's not guilty, I feel that the woman should have to go to prison for the amount of time that that man was in prison. Strictly because it's not fair, you know what I mean? And everyone talks about everyone talks about, you know, feminism, men are equal to women, all of that. I understand. Trust me, I'm in a lot of those battles with feminists on their side, so I understand. But here's my thought process. When a man is convicted of a rape charge or even allegations, that sticks with him for life. Because in that situation, a man is guilty until presumed innocent and not innocent until proven guilty. And that's just the way society does things. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it's one of those things that you kind of have to play with kid gloves a little bit. But again, I'm the sit back and watch type. I would rather sit back and get all of my facts straight before I do anything, you know, too rational or say anything too radical. The Pittsburgh synagogue shooting, that one hit a little bit close to home for me. I'm a Steelers fan. I was born in Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's my town. Also, I went to go get my CrossFit L1 coaching certification in Pittsburgh, where the coaching certification wasn't too far from where the synagogue was. Squirrel Hill, from a lot of people that I know back there and people that I've talked to from back there. You know, my sister lives out there. Squirrel Hill is not a bad neighborhood. It really isn't. You know, you drive through it, everything's really clean. You know what I mean? It was a bad situation, and like I said, it hit me a little close to home. Number 3, this year, this happened way earlier in the year. Some people may not associate it with this year, but the Larry Nassar rape cases, USA Gymnastics and Michigan State. Again, shitty situation. The dude's in jail where he belongs. He was found guilty. Justice system won. That's all I have to say. There's no defending somebody that did such heinous things like that. So, you know, on to the next one, I guess. The California wildfires, a lot more recent. T's and P's for everybody out there who lost their home. I know SportsCenter did a special about a football team from that area. There's got to be a GoFundMe out there somewhere. I'll see if I can link it in the description of the video. A disaster like that, you know what I mean? You can come back from something like that, but it's one of those things that it changes you forever, and I can completely understand. So, like I said, thoughts and prayers out to everybody out there, and RIP to those that we lost out there. And lastly, just top news stories for the year, and again, this was in no particular order. The Trump and Stormy Daniels horseface comment situation was hands down one of the funniest things that happened this year in the news. Her defamation lawsuit, for those that know, her defamation lawsuit was denied. You know, it was Trump's opinion, man. I mean, I'm not much of a Stormy Daniels fan, I guess you would say, but you know, men shouldn't call women those sort of things, and I understand that, but I mean, it was a giggle moment for me. So, alright, then we have our best sports moments of 2018. Now, these I actually rated 1 through 5, and I'm going to go from 5 to 1. For me, number 5 was the Red Sox winning the World Series. I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. I'm Pittsburgh everything. But it was good to see the Sox win. You know, they're one of the organizations that I say it a lot. One of the main reasons that I'm a Steelers fan is they do everything the right way. You don't ever hear the Steelers in major scandals or anything like that. You know, contrary to another Boston team like the Patriots, you don't hear there wasn't never any Pittsburgh Deflategate or anything the like. So, you know, they're a good class organization. Shout out to the Red Sox. Number 4, the Habib and Conor fight and the aftermath. I think that is a cornerstone of the UFC now. I think that fight set a precedent for every fight in the 155 class, with Habib and or Conor being a part of it yet to come. I think that Habib showed the biggest flaw in Conor's game, and that Conor does not grapple well. Habib is also proved that he is an absolute monster of a human. So, shout out to Habib. Number 3, as a Steelers fan, this pains me to kind of, say out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway just because I think it's good for the city that this is affecting, is Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. I don't hate the Browns necessarily. They've just been bad for so long, so they're kind of a feel-good story now that they're actually, decent. But shout out to Baker Mayfield. The dude woke up feeling dangerous. He broke the rookie record yesterday for passing touchdowns in a season, 27. The kid's a baller. Cleveland in 3 years will probably run our division if and only if we don't gut the team first. And I'm only saying that because it's inevitable. There's ups, there's downs, there's ebbs, there's flows. The AFC North is a hard-nosed football. It's hard-nosed running football in the AFC North. It just is. Always has been, always will be. What the Steelers do with Roethlisberger, who knows? Who knows what Roethlisberger does? But regardless of the point, Baker Mayfield has put Cleveland back on the map. LeBron is gone. Baker is now kind of in that place, only a much smaller, on a much smaller scale. The Baker Mayfield cloud is a lot smaller than LeBron's. So Cleveland needed a hero. Baker Mayfield is that guy. So, number 2, the Minneapolis Miracle last year, Saints-Vikings. Vikings are no longer in the playoffs. Saints are looking damn near unstoppable, even though they did lose to straight. They're just, the Saints are one of those teams that, after the last season, I think they came into this year with a chip on their shoulder. And, of course, Case Keenum cashed out on a big contract from the Minneapolis Miracle. So, but hands down, for my generation, I've seen a handful of fantastic plays. Another play that comes to mind is the OBJ Dallas catch that made OBJ famous. The reach back, one-hand catch. That play will forever be in the archives of NFL history. The Minneapolis Miracle, same thing. But that also happened in 2018. So, lastly, me being a college basketball nerd, the UMBC college basketball stunned Virginia in the March Madness tournament this year. It was wild. It's University of Maryland, Baltimore County, I believe. Yeah, it is Baltimore County. Yeah. So, it was a real feel-good story for me. Of course, I'm a Duke fan, so I kind of always like to cheer for, Duke, and then I kind of always pick another team. Loyola Chicago, I'm pretty sure this last year also made it all the way to the Final Four. Shout out to them. But overall, I think it was a good year in sports. Good, not great. Could have been better. I mean, there were only really 2 areas I would say that it would have gotten better. Any good news in soccer would have been great. Also, I think that had there been 1 or 2 more good fights throughout the year, whether it had been boxing or UFC, I think things would have been a little bit different. Alright, we're back. So, where was I at? Yeah, like I said, I'm a college basketball nerd, so the UMBC win over Virginia, and of course, Duke fans, we don't like Virginia. That was kind of a highlight of the year. So, now, top 5 video games of 2018. I know this is a hotly debated topic. E3 this coming year looks like it's going to be fantastic. But in no particular order, my top 5, and I legitimately hated putting one of these on here, but I couldn't not just because of the clout that surrounds it. So, in no particular order, God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Red Dead Redemption 2, Fortnite, and the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the first time the other day. I like it. I like it. I can see why people like it so much. So for me, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, definitely better than Fortnite. I'm personally not a Fortnite player. Just never got on the wave. I was too busy playing, other stuff. I'm pretty sure I was still playing, like Horizon Zero Dawn right when Fortnite started becoming a thing, and then next thing you know, it turns into what it turned into. So, is what it is. Musically, everyone, if you follow me, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, or on here, knows I'm a hip hop and R&B fan. I listen to pretty much everything, but I mean, not a whole lot of really good rock has come out this year. Not a whole lot of really good country music has come out this year. So we're gonna stick with hip hop, R&B esque. So again, I actually did label these are my top 5 of the year. These I'm gonna do in order. So the Carters, Everything Is Love, Hove, Beyonce. Everything Hove touches is gold to me, just because it's Hove. I lived in New York for a little while. You kind of get to pick up that little New York bop a little bit. I can see why Hove is Hove. You know what I mean? The dude's a genius, and him and Beyonce are great together. Number 4, the Black Panther album. So many great songs, so many great collaborations. I just think that whole soundtrack was absolutely insane, top to bottom. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys did too. Number 3, for anyone that knows me, is probably going to be a little bit of a shocker, but I'm going to say Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy, not necessarily because it was the greatest album ever, but because that album got so much play, it was not funny. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing Bartier Cardi, Bodak Yellow, Be Careful, or something else on that album. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of those albums that was very friendly on the radio stations, at least in this area. And I definitely think it was a good album. You know what I mean? Not necessarily my cup of tea, but hey, everybody likes a little ratchet, shake your booty music, so, is what it is. Number 2, Pusha T's Daytona. Music quality, I give it a B+, but the fact that Push went at Drake in a way that we had never seen before and kind of showed a chink in the armor, which then basically forced Drake's hand to put out at least a half a dozen of those tracks on Scorpion. Yeah, I think Push gets the dub on that one, just because at the end of the day, Push is a legend. Drug Dealers Anonymous is one of my favorite songs ever. Definitely in my top 10. And, it's Push. Push has been around for so long. I almost put Push in like that Rick Ross and the Game category. It's like they've been around for so long, but nobody has them in their top 5. You know what I mean? It's wild. But, is what it is. And lastly, shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, me being a Lil Wayne fan, Carter 5, number 1. Album as a whole, I give it a... I'm also gonna give the content a B+, because it's Wayne. Some of the songs were dated and you could just tell. But I think the biggest thing is the hype behind it. A lot of people fell for the hype, myself included. And looking back on it, the album is still great. Like, don't get it wrong. Is the album the best Wayne has ever done, including his mixtapes? No. But like I said in a previous episode, Wayne went on a run this year, starting Christmas of last year, where he released Dedication 5, or no, D6. Yeah, Dedication 6 on Christmas last year, and then just after New Year's, he did a D6 reload with another like 25 songs that were all bangers. So, You know, Wayne set himself up on a run. I'm curious, you know, one of the things is, what are all of these artists going to do this year? You know, Wayne can pretty much run the world if he really wants to take it back from Hove. I don't really think he does. Wayne's kind of fallen back a little bit. You know, he's got all his kids, and, you know, he just signed the Bamboo Rum deal. So, I don't know. Another thing, just to touch on real quick musically, I'm curious what Drake does something every year. You know, this year was Scorpion, it was Sicko Mode, it was Nice for What. Cool. Drake keeps a banger in the tuck for the summer parties. I'm curious what it's going to be this year. I'm curious if he's going to get back in that Jamaican Drake or what he's going to do. But on to the next one. So I just have 5 things here to look forward to in 2019. I know I've already touched on some of them. The first thing is something that I've definitely bought into the hype for. It's a video game called Anthem. If you haven't seen the trailer, just look it up on YouTube. It looks fantastic. From what I'm gathering from the trailer and what I've heard from a lot of my friends that game a lot harder than me, Anthem is third world, or not third world, third person, open world. Basically, the premise of the game is you're on an alien planet and you have this super suit. It's almost like an Iron Man suit, basically, and you have to go around and, you know, kill animals that are threatening, you know, your camp, and, you know, this, that, and the third. The graphics look absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure they use the same engine that they did in Horizon Zero Dawn, because the graphics are absolutely nuts. It's a massive map, and it should be absolutely amazing. Next thing, I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. I know it's going to be a little bit into 2019 before this comes around, but the new Avengers movie, Avengers Endgame, I know there's been trailers for it. You know, I'm curious to see how they wrap the story up. You know, with Stan Lee being gone, I'm sure there's going to be a tribute in there somewhere. R.I.P. Stan Lee. I think it's going to be one of those things that I know they're going to wrap the story up quite nicely. It's just how they go about it, and they're definitely going to get their money's worth for sure. Might break a couple of box office records in the meantime. So, on the topic of movies, they're also doing a lot of remakes this year. I just jotted down some Disney classics. The Lion King, Dumbo, Aladdin. The Lion King one intrigues me, and Aladdin also intrigues me just because, a live action, or it's not technically live action, it's a CGI Lion King, I think would just be cool to do, and how they do voices and everything else is going to be interesting. That's A. B. Not super high on Dumbo, was never a super high Dumbo kid, so I'm neither here nor there on that. But Aladdin, how they're going to replace Robin Williams as the genie, A. B. I think there's ways that they can screw this up. You know, I think it's one of those things that, you know, a lot of us, you know, 20-somethings and even 30-somethings that grew up on these movies, we all have expectations. And I think that there's a very, very moderate chance that they could screw this up, but I also have faith in Disney. So at the same time, it is what it is. And also, anyone out there that's a movie buff, Zombieland 2 sometime in 2019 is a projected show date. We've waited so long, man. It was like The Incredibles, man. Like that was one of those movies that it's like there has to be a sequel. There just has to be. You know what I mean? I loved The Incredibles 2. I am hopefully gonna love Zombieland 2. I hope the whole cast comes back. I know they definitely have Woody Harrelson, so that's at least a start. But we get the whole cast back. It's over. Well, let's get back with it. So, with that being said, yeah, okay, cool. So, I kind of just jotted down to kind of end all this off instead of a quote-unquote state of society. I kind of jotted down 5 things that people, by people, I mean young men and women of our age group, should kind of take into 2019. Now, a lot of this is ideological, a lot of this is philosophical, so feel free to comment and disagree, just don't be a dick about it. But for me, 5 things that you need to understand, and again, in no particular order, is understanding your worth. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that on multiple tiers. I'm saying that don't settle for being around people that don't genuinely care about you, 1. 2, for everybody out there that has a job, which I'm going to assume is 99.99% of people, if you think you can be making more money doing the same thing or doing it elsewhere, don't be afraid to make the move. You have to put a value number on what an hour of your time is worth, because 90% of jobs these days are hourly. So for me, I think that with my skills and everything else, I'm worth $20 an hour. I go places where I feel like I will get the most value. My job, I'm not getting paid anywhere near $20 an hour, but I'm getting the most value out of my job. I'm getting experience that I will definitely use somewhere down the line. So in a way, it kind of makes up for it. And definitely understanding your value kind of leads me into the next point, is don't be afraid to do something different. 2019, brand new year, and everyone's new year, new me. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever, we hear it. Do something you weren't doing last year. You know what I mean? Like, for example, me and this podcast. I was not doing this podcast. Well, I was doing this podcast last year, quote unquote. Month of December. Well, November and December. But my thing is that you have to be willing to take a risk. Everybody out there has something that they want to do or something they wish they were doing. For me, it was this. Just because, at the end of the day, I love all of the fans, but I'm doing this for me. This is more therapeutic than most people can possibly comprehend. So I just like sitting down and talking shit, basically, is my spiel. So, is what it is. Do something different, because I hear so many people say, oh, life's not really doing it for me right now. I've got this, and this going on. Yeah, but you can do something about all of those things. So it's like, do something different. If something isn't working and you're sitting there complaining about it not working, how about instead of complaining about it, you just do something about it? Like, so much talk, but nobody's about it. So, which kind of, in a way, transitions me into the next thing, which is leaving behind things that aren't good for you. Toxic relationships, whether it be friendships, girlfriends, boyfriends, family ties. If you have to cut family ties, cut family ties. Trust me, I've done it more than I'm comfortable sharing. But, some things at a certain point just can't be saved. So, you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And I preach this to so many of my friends. You have to take care of yourself before you take care of other people. I'm 21, going to be 22 at the end of the month of January. I kind of can't justify, at this point in my life, sticking around and being available for people who don't put me number 1 on their priority list. I just can't justify it. You know what I mean? Like, now, don't get it wrong. Like, I have friends, you know what I mean? And a lot of my friends understand that, my best friend Mike, off the top of my head, like, he understands that, I have my own life to live. He checks in on me when he needs to. Okay, cool, keep it moving. That's the best kind of person, because they're going to let you live your life, But if you have someone who's, like, suffocating you, whether it be in a friendship or a relationship, or you're just not happy with somebody, make that shit known. Sit down, have an adult conversation, and get it all out there. Because at the end of the day, for better or worse, you're still going to be you in 2019. You can't just magically turn into Bill Gates, even though that would probably be lit. You just can't do it. So you have to leave behind the things that are holding you back. Because if you want to maximize your growth in the year of 2019, which I'm sure everybody does, everybody would love to have a fire 2019, you kind of have to elevate yourself on certain things. And don't be beneath cutting people out of your life. It's going to hurt. Of course it's going to hurt. But everything in life that's worth it comes with a little bit of pain attached. You kind of have to sacrifice some things to get where you want to be. My best example to give you is, look at kids that go from high school to being like successful high school athletes, to successful college athletes, to successful NFL or college basketball athletes. Those kids in high school If you don't think that those kids are training on days where it just seems absurd to train, you're wrong. You know what I mean? I've gone to high school with some freak athletes, and these guys were, like, you'd see them running every day of the year. Right down Main Street. You'd see them running every day. It could be Christmas with 4 feet of snow on the ground. They're out there shoveling their own path and running sprints in their yard. You know, they're doing something. In today's world, you know what I mean, you have to sacrifice some things to get where you want to be. And, you know, you have to elevate yourself, and you have to be willing to put in work that other people aren't, because in today's world, everybody thinks they're special. Newsflash, you're not. Not everybody's special. Me specifically, I'm not anything special. I'm not doing anything that any other podcaster is doing, but I'm doing something. Most people out there that have dreams aren't doing anything about it. And I hate seeing it because, A, those people are genuinely unhappy, and when people are genuinely unhappy, what do? They complain. I hate people that complain. Don't complain about something you have complete control over. And anyone that says, oh, well, I don't have complete control over this, then you have to either A, look at that situation for what it's worth, and if you really feel that uncomfortable, leave the situation, or B, you're lying to yourself and you do have control, you're just too chicken shit to do anything about it. And that applies to everybody. Men, women, young, old, white, black, green, whatever, doesn't matter. You have to cowboy the fuck up every once in a while, or in, you know, a woman's case, cowgirl the fuck up every once in a while, and just do the damn thing. You know what I mean? And that transitions me into, like what I said earlier, is elevating yourself and how to elevate yourself. So 3 things that, you know, I want to do this year, and well, all right, so let's backtrack rewind here. Things that you can do to elevate yourself are the following. Set a goal, work to that goal, get to the goal, then set another goal slightly above. It's one of those things that, you know, for me this year I had a lot of fitness goals. Unfortunately, I didn't meet most of them just because I was aiming a little bit too high, and I've also been fighting a couple of injuries. It's nothing serious, but, you know, you do what you got to do. But, you know, 2019 is going to be a good year for me. I definitely am going to meet a lot of the goals that I didn't meet this year, as well as, you know, meet some new ones. So, you know, set goals for yourself. Don't be afraid to try something new. And that kind of brings me into my last point. Something you should definitely take with you, or a thought at least you should take with you going into 2019, is, are you humble and are you motivated? And that's a question I ask myself every day, and I post it on Instagram all the time, is stay humble and stay motivated. I try so hard to stay humble, it's ridiculous, because, not tooting my own horn, physically I'm a lot stronger than a lot of people, but you don't hear me running around saying, oh, my bench press is this, yours is this, I'm better than you. You don't hear me say that. Why? Because I know there's someone out there that is always bigger and badder, and I'm always, I guess you could say, scared in a way that I will get absolutely shown up by somebody, because, again, there's always somebody more physically imposing than me. You know, I'm 5'10", 210. You know what I mean? Not the biggest dude on the planet, but I'm pretty strong. So it's one of those things that, you know, I always tell myself to stay humble, just because, you know, contrary to a lot of people that I run into on a daily basis, yeah, I'm significantly stronger than most people that I run into on a daily basis. The kicker to this whole thing is I do it with kind of a silent, I know I'm better than you, but I'm not going to absolutely rub it in your face kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Especially, like, when I go to the gym, like, when they team me up with training partners and stuff, and, you know, like I said, shout out to Sigma 5 CrossFit, I love everybody. You know, there's some training partners that, you know, I can't keep up with because they're that much better than me, and that's a really humbling experience, and it's one of those things that I kind of take that with me everywhere I go. And secondly, the second part of this is staying motivated, you know, and the biggest thing is that you have to find something that drives you. For me, equating back to a conversation that, if you watch one of the previous shows, to a conversation that I had with Austin, is there was a boss that basically told me that I wasn't good enough to get promoted under her, and it was a very inappropriate thing to say, in my opinion. But I mean, live your life, do what you got to do. But I got to a point now where I'm out to show not just her, but I'm out to show everyone that said that I couldn't go back to school and that I couldn't be successful and this and that, and everyone that ran their mouth, that, I can do it. And I'm going to do it. And it's going to require a lot of late nights and really early days. And, I have to work because I have bills to pay. So, you know what I mean? My job, thankfully, allows me to, be a lot more flexible. And, my college schedule for this coming semester isn't overly bad. So I think it's a good thing that, my schedule is the way it is. But it's super wild to me that, people just live their life in that kind of cubicle mindset, that they're just, get up, drink your coffee, go to work, sit in a cubicle, do the same damn thing every damn day, and there's no variance of it. For me, I'm always motivated to do something different. I'm always motivated to prove somebody wrong. I want to be the best at everything I could possibly be. The more things that I can put my hat on, the more versatile of a human I am, the more it, makes you applicable to other people. You know what I mean? Whether that be at a job interview or whether that be you bump into somebody on the street, next thing you know, you're, going on a date, or the next thing you know, that person is networking with you and you guys proceed to build your own company. Whatever. It is what it is, but the point is that you have to stay humble and you have to stay motivated and you have to stay hungry to just be better, because nobody wants to be the same going into 2019. So, guys, keep all of that in mind. Also, like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, should be up later tonight. Have a lovely New Year's. Don't get too intoxicated. Use Uber. Don't drink and drive. Next to that, guys, like I said, if there's anything you want to talk about, hit me up in the comment section. And we out.